Don't come to the wedding. It's a happy day after all. When I received that call from the bride, my mind went blank. Why would she say something so hurtful? Is it my fault? Well, if she feels that way, maybe it's best I don't attend. As a groom's mother, I felt a complicated mix of anger and self-loathing. My name is Stella, and I'm 50 years old. I'm a working mom living with my husband and son. I work part-time about 4 days a week at the local supermarket preparing daily items in the kitchen. My son got a job 4 years ago, so we don't have to worry about tuition anymore. Now, it's just the house mortgage. There are still 15 years left on it. I have got to keep working. With these things in mind, I'm working again today. Actually, something wonderful happened yesterday. Dad, Mom, I'm getting married. My son announced this at dinner. My husband and I exchanged glances taken by surprise. Married? Really? Who is she? When did you propose? My husband bombarded our son with questions in his astonishment. Calm down, Daniel. I tried to soothe my excited husband, but I too was curious. So, who is she? She's, gentle and kind. Can I bring her over this Sunday? Sunday it is then. That's right, I need to clean the house before Sunday when my son brings his fiancée over. Maybe prepare some tea cakes and even replace the living room curtains? Lost in thought, a colleague approached me. You seem happy. Anything good happened? Everyone in the kitchen wears large masks, so facial expressions are hidden, but did my good mood still shine through? Feeling a bit embarrassed, I replied, You caught me. My son is getting married. Oh, congratulations. How old is your son? He's 27 this year, finally done with parenting. It felt like a weight lifted off my shoulders. Despite everything, I couldn't believe my son was getting married. You know, my son's bringing his girlfriend over this Sunday. I couldn't help but share my excitement. I can't wait. Wonder what she's like. He told me she's a gentle and kind person. I'm sure she's wonderful. I eagerly awaited Sunday. When the day finally came, I put on a bit more makeup than usual. Gotta make a good first impression. I looked in the mirror, checking my reflection. A reddish scar stretched from my right cheek to my ear. Makeup somewhat hides it, but will it still stand out? Lost in my thoughts, in front of the mirror, my husband approached. What are you doing? Just trying to cover this up a bit. Don't worry too much. You're beautiful just the way you are. His words warmed my heart. He's such a kind soul. Thank you. It's a thing of the past. I don't mind. I mean, I have my loving husband and son. What's a little scar, right? I wish I could truly say that, but a woman's vanity? Having a permanent burn mark on my face is hard to overlook. The scar is from a fire at my childhood home when I was in high school. The fire started next door, and though I narrowly escaped, it left a lasting mark. Everyone survived, and that was a miracle. But there were moments I wished the flames had taken me. I believed the scar meant no more love, no more romance. I retreated, convinced I would never be loved again. The trauma from those teenage years was overwhelming, leading to some dark thoughts. But my savior during those times was my husband. We grew up together, our families closely knit. Concerned about my despair, he would visit daily, offering words of comfort. I don't care about the scar. You're still the same beautiful person to me. At first, I was wary of his words, but gradually I opened up. Our bond grew, leading to marriage. I'm forever grateful to him for saving me back then and for supporting me now. Marriage is truly wonderful. I thought as much looking at my husband's broad back. The scar remains, but meeting my husband, getting married, and having our child are treasures I wouldn't trade for anything. It was just past noon when the doorbell rang. Seeing the woman our son brought home, my husband and I greeted her with warm smiles. Welcome, please come on in. I led our son and his girlfriend into the living room. Thank you for having me. Just as our son had described, she seemed calm and kind-hearted. She had a radiant fair complexion framed by beautiful black hair. Her name was Gabriela. She works as an office clerk and she's 2 years younger than our son. Both my husband and I were impressed by her modest and humble demeanor. I felt so relieved. She seemed like a good person. I let out a sigh of contentment.
So, where are you from?
My husband asked, trying to ease any tension. I'm from Charleston, South Carolina.
Ah, Charleston. Beautiful views and delicious food. A wonderful place.
Thank you. What do you do for a living?
I drive a taxi.
That's impressive, making a living driving. My husband spoke gently and Gabriela replied in the same calm manner. Our son looked relieved seeing them interact. I'm so glad you have brought such a beautiful person into our lives, I whispered to him.
You know, she's way out of my league.
He replied, blushing. I looked forward to their future together. He might be a handful sometimes, but please take care of him, I said to Gabriela. But she just gave me a vague smile, not meeting my eyes. Maybe she was still nervous? I tried to engage her more in the conversation, but she only offered polite smiles to my efforts. Is your job demanding? It's okay. Do you have any hobbies? Not really. Our conversation didn't flow as I hoped. She seemed comfortable chatting with my husband. I wondered what the difference was. Was she wary of me as her future mother-in-law? I sat there feeling somewhat isolated during what was supposed to be a bonding family meeting. Yet I noticed she kept glancing at me. Is something wrong? No, nothing. I had a hunch. It must be about the scar from my burn. Should I explain it to her? But then again, sharing a sad story on such a happy occasion didn't feel right. As I pondered this, it became time to wrap up. The day ended without us having a meaningful conversation. I didn't think she was a bad person, but I felt we just weren't on the same wavelength. Even though I had only spent a few hours with her, I had that gut feeling. Still, I wanted to celebrate their marriage grandly. After all, what matters is that they love each other. Parents shouldn't interfere too much. That's what I decided. The two got their marriage license and decided to hold a wedding ceremony a year later. Since she was a child, the bride had always dreamed of a grand wedding and was adamant about sparing no expense. I had heard a few times from my son about how particular his bride-to-be was. I sometimes wished I had my own big wedding. I never did. Conscious of the burn scars, I felt a twinge of envy. I guess it's every girl's dream, but right now, I'm happy. My son moved out and it's just me and my husband. It feels refreshing, like we're newlyweds again. From now on, if we can live modestly in our old age, that's enough for us.
Hey.
What is it, Daniel?
Did you send something to Gabriela?
Yes, I sent her the oranges our neighbor gave us. I had sent her a share of what we got a few days ago. Why did my husband know about it?
They said it arrived crushed and rotten.
What? They were fine when I sent them? Oh, maybe a few bad ones got mixed in and rotted? I immediately called my daughter-in-law. I am so sorry. I thought I checked them thoroughly. I would prefer if you didn't send gifts like that again. It's a bother. For some reason, she sounded hostile. But it was clear I was at fault, so I apologized deeply. I'm truly sorry. I won't send anything again. Also, we're pretty busy over here, so if you could refrain from calling too often. I understand. I'll be more mindful. She abruptly hung up. The only time I had called was to ask about the wedding. Did she really despise calls from her mother-in-law that much? She seemed like a completely different person from when we first met. Maybe it's best to limit our interactions. As I thought that and decided to limit my communication, my phone rang.
Hello, Mom?
It was a call from my son. What's up? Did something happen?
Well, Gabriela mentioned that Mom was being cold to her. Did something happen?
It's not that I'm being cold. You two are newlyweds, and you wouldn't want your mother meddling too much, right?
That's not true. She said she wants to get along.
I was about to exclaim in disbelief, but stopped myself. There is no point in me being stubborn here. Their wedding is just a few months away. Rumors of family conflict would be uncomfortable for both of them. I tried to maintain a distant relationship, but what if the daughter-in-law is trying to defame me? That feeling lingered. Then, a week before the wedding, it was during the weekday. Hello? Oh, is this mother-in-law? It's me. Oh, what's going on? It was a rare call from the daughter-in-law. It's almost been a year since their marriage certificate was issued and our awkward relationship continues. This sudden call from her, what could it be? Actually, about the wedding, can you not attend? What? Why all of a sudden? I exclaimed in surprise. Your burn scar is disgusting. It's like you're a monster. It would ruin the whole wedding, so can you understand how I feel and not come? I was lost for words at this sudden insult. I was barely able to stand while holding the phone. Daughter-in-law continued pouring out her frustrations. She had disliked me since the family meeting day. That cold demeanor and ambiguous responses were because she was uncomfortable with me. As she imagines her ideal wedding, my presence seems like a stain on it. She went into great detail. You're disgusting. Why don't you voluntarily back out? How could you live looking like that? Daughter-in-law continued to coldly berate me without any remorse. She had always despised me. I should have noticed earlier and distanced myself. It's too late now. The rift between daughter-in-law and me became insurmountable. Thinking I had to get along feels so naive now. So you're telling me to skip the wedding, right? Yes, that's right. Fine. Great, please don't come to the venue on the day. Just say you weren't feeling well. All right, I'll do that. With that, I hung up the phone with a click. Skip the wedding? Does she even know who she's talking to? Challenge accepted. I'll gladly miss it. But with that determination, I couldn't hold back the tears. On the day of the wedding, I truly didn't attend. The ceremony was scheduled for 12 p.m. But even after 10 a.m., I was relaxing at home watching TV. Suddenly, my cell phone rang loudly. Hello? Hello, mother-in-law? Father-in-law isn't here yet. Wasn't it just you who was supposed to miss? Well, Daniel is here at home, I said, glancing at my husband reading in the living room. Just a regular day off. What do you mean? He suddenly felt unwell. I was just about to let you know. I handed the phone to my husband.
Sorry, but I can't make it today. I'm feeling off, just like my wife.
Wait a minute, father-in-law, a last-minute cancellation?
Listen, you treated my wife like a monster and forced her to miss. I just don't feel up to attending.
I could tell Gabriella went silent on the other end when my husband said that. His eyes burned with anger. Normally, he's so calm and hardly ever shows anger.
Look, that's how it is, so we won't be attending.
And we didn't attend the wedding. Actually, when the daughter-in-law had called me about missing the wedding, my husband, who had just finished his night shift, had been listening in on speakerphone. He remembered every single word of that conversation. And after hanging up, seeing me in tears, he hugged me and said,
I won't let you take the blame alone. I'll skip it too. We are in this together as a couple.
I couldn't help but feel I made the right choice marrying him. We had informed our son in advance that we would be skipping the wedding. We explained everything and declared we would never be involved with a daughter-in-law again. The husband told him,
If you still want to be with Gabriella, do your best to protect her, but I cannot forgive Gabriella for insulting my wife. We don't need any further relationship with her.
Our son was deeply shocked to learn about his wife's attitude and comments towards me. He probably never imagined that his own wife could be such a person. Even if they wanted to change the wedding date, it was impossible with only a week's notice. And then came the wedding day. Our relatives were puzzled when we didn't show up. When questioned, our son spilled everything. The wedding was called off and was turned into a casual dinner gathering. Right there, our son announced his intention to divorce. Gabriella's parents, at first outraged, scolded their daughter after hearing everything from the groom. They deeply apologized to our son and offered to cover all the wedding costs. Why? This was my day. I just wanted my dream wedding. Why did this happen? I just wanted a wonderful ceremony. No, I will have my wedding. I wanted to be envied by my friends. In her wedding dress, Gabriella sobbed and screamed while the relatives watched from a distance. Afterwards, the two formally divorced. Their marriage lasted just a little over a year. Upon hearing about the whole fiasco, friends and acquaintances distanced themselves from Gabriella, leaving her isolated. From time to time, she contacts our son. Nobody's on my side, not even my friends. You're the only one for me. But our son remains steadfast and seems to ignore her. The only thing I regret is that my son's wedding ended in such a sad way. Even if it was largely Gabriella's fault, I can't shake off the guilt of being part of the reason.
It's okay, Mom. This happened because of my choices. I want a relationship like you and Dad's. I want to trust and support each other.
I never expected our son to say that to me. Overwhelmed with emotion, I gently stroked his head. Life is long. Even in tough times, it's okay. There was always chances for happiness in the future.